Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Film Frauds, or myself, Matt, my two co-hosts, Mark
Hello.
and Tyler,
Hello.
providing completely unprofessional, 100% biased opinions on the movies of today, tomorrow, and yesteryear. And today, we're back with Tyler's picks. Boo! He set a record low, a new profound low I never thought we'd be able to achieve with his recommendation last week. So it's really only uphill from here. So Tyler, what are we talking about today, and why?
So, this is part of our director series, and the first one, for some reason, despite I don't think any of us being big fans of Christopher Nolan, I was like, let's do Christopher Nolan. And there are three movies I really wanted to tackle at the start. It was, oh God, what did we do? Insomnia, because I had never seen it. Batman Begins, because I thought it was a really interesting step in Nolan. And then his not most recent movie now, his second last movie, Dunkirk, which is probably one of his highest critically acclaimed movies. It did really well technically at the Oscars in 2017. It's his shortest movie since probably Memento, or maybe his actual debut with The Following. And I was really curious about this because the first time I saw it, I was super enamored with this movie. And I was like, man, this movie is beautiful to look at. Technically, it's a Marvel, and I was kind of like swept away. And after seeing it, I was like,
movie?
no, it's a Marvel.
Yeah, I know. So it's a Marvel movie.
Oh, I hate you.
What else does Marvel mean?
That's a terrible joke. That's a terrible joke. I just want to throw that out there. You messed up me. I had a great train of thought going. And I was really swept away with it. And for a while, I was like, man, this is Nolan's second best movie outside of The Dark Knight. Now I'm very curious to see what you guys think. Mark, what do you think of Dunkirk? Because we've all seen this before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first time I saw it was in the theaters, like July 2017, and I came out disappointed, like a lot. I think like a lot of people. I was expecting more, and it just I sort of just forgot about it. I was like, oh yeah, Dunkirk was a movie that I saw at one point, and I haven't really given it much thought since. So going into this, I really wasn't expecting much, but I actually really enjoyed it this time around. I was actually genuinely surprised. I don't like completely love it, but it went up like a whole nother tier for me. And I think I was never bored at any point. There was no like pacing issues for me or anything like that. There was the first time I saw it because I was like, when are people going to talk? Why is nothing happening? We keep getting on boats and they keep exploding. But this time, the whole way through, I was completely into it, and it was like, oh, it's over. And I was trying to think, like, why is this? And, I think Christopher Nolan gets a lot of flack for his screenplays, or his dialogue, at least. And there's, like, no real screenplay here. I mean, there's a screenplay, but no dialogue. And I think the movie is a lot better off for that fact. And this movie is, like, way up there now for my the Christopher Nolan movies, like probably what you just said, Tyler, where it's like probably like just under The Dark Knight. So what about you, Matt?
Yeah, Matt, what do you think?
So I saw this movie in theaters as well, and it didn't really have a very lasting impact on me. And I think my opinions sort of stayed the same rewatching it. I think it's like just middle of the road. I think that's very manipulative with its suspense. It's just a lot of like it's like a magic trick of sorts where you don't really care about the characters, but they're able to like, hype up the volume and have very specific music and have very specifically long take directing to like give that illusion of suspense. And just like by the end of it, I was just so tired of seeing these characters getting in situations that over and over again I just didn't care about. There's so many drowning sequences that just completely lose their impact for me towards the end of the movie. And I think that one of the 500 drowning scenes could have been replaced with a scene that builds character, and that would have been fine. That would have been really nice. But it's still probably one of the better Nolan movies. It's probably the best Nolan movie that we talked about on this podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's good. Like I appreciate a lot of aspects of it. I think specifically like the storyline on the boat is really good. But it's not really like I was yesterday because I watched it 2 days ago. So yesterday I thought of it last night. I was like, oh wait, I watched Dunkirk last night, and that was it. I think it's fine. I think there's a lot of talent in the directing here, but I think that like the lack of characters really hurts this movie a lot. I don't know, Tyler, what do
So,
you think? What?
well, just for like like you said, it'd be better if there was a character building scene. Like, what would you have hoped for out of this movie?
As I said, I just would hope, like, there's so many just pointless suspense scenes in this movie that could have
Yeah.
been replaced with people just walking and talking, like when you're on, but like when they're on like a life raft or something, like they can have scenes where they're just interacting with each other, and it feels, like Same Private Ryan, like between the battles, have the characters
Yeah.
walking somewhere and talking. I mean, it got to the point where there's so many just drawn out suspense scenes that easily two of them could have been replaced with dialogue scenes, in my opinion.
I think why I like this a lot more this time around is because I think it's more rooted in realism. Because like
Yeah.
I'm trying to like position myself like, what if I was, a British boy on this beach? I would probably
Yeah.
not exactly be talkative. I'd probably just be like, okay, survive. Find group of people, survive. And I think that really, dug in the realism for me this time around. And so I never really felt that sort of I never felt that want for more character building. I felt like what we got was like good.
So a few things. I just want to, because I feel like there might be a misconception about how I think about this movie. I just want to throw out that Matt and I had a chance to see this in theaters together, and we looked at the movies that were out, and we saw Valerian, Journey of 1,000 Planets,
Which is like 45 minutes longer, and
Which
it
is-
had like 50% less of a rating on the Rotten
Yes,
Tomatoes.
and we saw that and we went, yes. We went, a movie starring Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne, directed by Luc Besson, over a Nolan movie. We're like, yes. And then I left Valerian as the final scene was happening because I hated it so much. I actually just
You were
want
a
to
soundtrack. You were a soundtrack
Oh,
before you first, and Tyler was out.
and then I was gone, and then I left.
That line is just ingrained in my brain.
Because you looked to the left and I was bolting out the door.
Yeah.
I actually kind of soured on this movie a little bit. I'm actually more in line with Matt this time around, watching this on a repeat. And for actually a lot of the opinions you said, Matt, it's very easy to get caught up in the spectacle of this movie. And I very much was the first time around. I'm not saying you did, Mark, on that one. It's not meant to seem like...
How dare you?
Yeah, how
Like,
dare you?
stupid.
You're an idiot. No. I've never seen a movie like this that so heavily accentuates a director's strengths and flaws. Nolan, like you said, Mark, his biggest weakness of him as a filmmaker is he can't write dialogue and he can't create realistic characters. I've proven this. I've tried to prove this point a lot with the Batman Begins review, where no one in that movie is an actual person. Everyone is just kind of like spouting these not mythical, like prophetical and like profound
Eddie.
speeches. Yeah, and it's just none of it feels like real people. And in this movie, he went, okay, I'm not going to do anything of that. I'm going to completely abandon all characters, and I'm going to instead favor the pure spectacle of it. And for that, the movie, I feel like both works and doesn't work. I wrote out like a bunch of my thoughts on the letterbox, and I even said, yeah, the point of this movie clearly is there's a lot of repetitive actions because that's supposed to mirror how the people felt at the time, because they're stuck, they fail, they come back, they stuck, they fail, they come back. And it works if you try to frame it from that perspective, but from a filmmaking, not from a filmmaking, but from like a film perspective, it's like Matt said, I feel like it just kind of becomes really stale. You can have creative instances where you're trying to have these characters think of ways to get off Dunkirk and have them be different than go out, drown, come back, one dies, go out, drown, come back, one dies, drown. And I feel like, and I understand the escape from Dunkirk is to get off the beach and to get across the ocean or the sea or whatever they are, because they can see their home from the other side. But from a pure like film perspective, I thought it really was boring. And it's really weird because I really dug this movie the first time I saw it. And this time I found myself like kind of like checking the time and waiting to see when it was over. I really wasn't the biggest fan of this one on the rewatch. That's not me saying it's a bad movie in any regard, but I just was like, man, I wanted so much more out of this. And because they have talented people in front and behind the camera. And it just kind of fell really flat for me a little bit. There is a glaring lack of characters, and that really stands out. So Matt, I'm on Team Matt this time.
Wow.
Matt and
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I was really bothered
Pretty.
because there's like legitimately like one of the biggest surprises was Harry Styles being an incredible actor, and I just like he had a lot of personality in the very limited stuff he was given, and whenever he would act, I was like, damn, he's a really good actor. I wish they developed his character more. So I cared when he's in the boat with everyone and he's accusing someone of being a German spy. And it's like really great acting. And it's really like, it was actually like a tense scene. I just wish I cared more about these people. That's kind of where the movie ended. And I was like, dope. And then I went to bed and then I haven't thought about it until now.
Mm.
I in that specific scene where that second guy was being accused of being a German spy, I actually cared a little bit because I didn't remember. I was like, what actually happened in this scene? I don't remember. And I just like that their companionship between Tommy, the main character's name, and the at that point we knew he was a French soldier.
Yep.
Their companionship was just based on like, we've sort of gone through like a few events together, so let's just stick with each other, I guess. You know what I'm saying? And when Tommy's trying to like plead with him, he's like, just say that you're an English soldier. And just the tension in that scene, I was in it. Yep. I never really felt like we needed more weight behind this scene going into it. It's kind of funny to me how people flip-flop on this film. Like I flipped on this film, and then well, Matt, you're sort of, I guess, the anomaly.
That's the begrudging, like, old man in the corner. Like, I didn't like it the first time around.
Yeah.
I have my film expertise developed much earlier than you two. I am like a rock.
Oh, dang. What did you guys? I'm very curious. What did you guys think the PG-13 violence helped to hurt this movie? I think it hurt it.
I don't think it really impacted it at all. Personally.
You don't think it impacted it at all?
No.
I just think that what took me out of the scenes was I just didn't know anything about any of the characters, so it just felt like people I didn't care about were in tense situations. And I don't think that the lack of blood really made a difference to me at all. I think that a lot of the scenes, like a lot of like the most frightening scenes are like the bombing scenes, like when on the beach, and you just get the feeling like you're a sitting duck and there's nothing you can really do about it. You just have to pray that nothing hits you.
Yeah.
And I think that, that doesn't need blood to make it more impactful, in my opinion.
There are so many sequences of characters getting shot. And for a movie that's so focused on realism, characters getting shot and nothing happening to them. There are scenes where characters get hit with a bomb and fly into the air. And there's nothing like graphic about it. And I'm not looking for like Saving Private Ryan storming the beach level of like character having his arm shot off and he's like shell shocked picking it up and then getting shot. I'm not looking for that, but I feel like when you focus on realism so much but then tame down a very graphic and realistic aspect of war, which is people get shot and things are not clean and things are very bloody, and then you focus so heavily on the bombings, like the opening shot is characters running down and getting shot and picked off and they just kind of fall. I'm not asking for like blood splatters like that, but just like a little like something to show that like, oh damn, look at that kind of like realism. It's kind of like the Live Free or Die Hard movie where everything like characters get hit and like dust falls off instead of like blood. Like Transformers Dark of the Moon has more graphic violence in that movie with the Transformers than this does in a realistic
war Dark of the Moon's a better movie.
Dark of the Moon is a better movie than this. But they gave the Transformers like red oil, and he gets his head ripped off, and red oil spurts out like a fountain.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And it's like, and in this one, people are getting bombarded.
Optimus straight up just like executes his leader.
Sentinel Prime.
As he's begging for his life.
So every episode we have a weird comparison, and this time it was Dunkirk to Transformers Dark of the Moon.
Yeah.
So you're welcome. Last week it was Black Hat and The Master, both equally great movies. But yeah, so
wait, hold on. Whoa. No. Let's evaluate that statement.
No. Okay, so basically, I don't know. Like, you guys really weren't like when things are happening. Like, there's that one great sequence, which is the cover of the movie, where characters. By the way, it's actually changed. A little background here is not the actual setup. I looked at that during the movie, and I felt really smart for noticing it. But when he goes and hits the deck and the bombs are coming closer, and then like it comes super close and a guy gets hit with one and he flies into the air and then sand falls down. I was like, I kind of wish he fell apart. I kind of wish it was like his body went and I was like, oh man. Not at all.
So,
am I alone in this? Really?
So would you have liked this movie more if just people started exploding?
just spontaneously.
They had like Paul Verhoeven levels of violence.
Yeah.
and blood.
And then no, I don't know. I would have liked it if we saw like blood, just a tiny bit. It doesn't have. It can still keep its PG-13 rating, but just a
I
tiny
just want
bit.
to see one kid get shot in the face.
No, I don't want to pull It Comes at Night
Oh.
where the kid gets shot.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I don't
Gets
know.
360 no scoped.
I don't know. Like, what did you guys think? Okay, so there's another aspect of this that I wasn't the biggest fan of on a second time round through. Nolan's decision to make this movie non-linear. I was not the biggest fan of on this
Yeah, that
time
was
through.
weird because you cut to Cillian Murphy on the boat and then you see him later on the
Yeah.
raft. It just felt so pointless. Like it felt like it was trying to go for like you got to piece everything together sort of elements in the movie. It just felt more distracting than anything to me. It
So
didn't
what
even really contribute to the movie
I
in the
mean,
long
Mark, what
run.
did you think? Because I have a quote from Nolan, and I still don't necessarily agree with it. And I don't think it, like you said, Matt, I don't think it adds anything to the movie as a whole.
I like the weaving plot lines. I think it starts like the mole 1 week. That was the timeline, and then this what was it? The sea like 1 day, and then the air 1 hour.
Yep.
That happened at the beginning, and I was like, oh yeah. And then I forgot about it, and then when you see Cillian Murphy get saved, and then it goes back, and he's at one of the exploded destroyers. I was like, oh yeah, that's what's going on. I didn't mind it. Actually, I kind of liked it. Yeah, I'd have to like give it a lot more thought. If it was like, did Nolan do it because he could, or because like, did he justify it within the story?
So I have a quote here. He says, "For the soldiers who embarked on the conflict, the events took place on different temporalities. On land, some stayed 1 week stuck on the beach. On the water, the events lasted a maximum a day. And if you're flying to Dunkirk, the British Spitfires would carry an hour of fuel. To mingle these different versions of history, one had to mix the temporal strata. Hence the complicated structure, even if the story is very simple. Do not repeat it to the studio. It will be my most experimental film." I don't agree with it. Honestly, there has to be a point. If you take a look at Nolan's weird obsession with messing with time, we haven't seen Tenet yet, but from everything we know about Tenet, it's a movie that's focused and really kind of weird with time. But if you look at his movie like Memento, which is super gimmicky, but it's the aspect of like you're just kind of going back and the events of things are going back and you're figuring stuff out, and time is a weird kind of like loop. But there's a point to it because that's how the character perceives events himself because of his short-term memory loss. And this one, I don't know if it adds anything to play things out of order. I don't know if it, I didn't feel like, man, these characters, like he said, have to experience so much more in a week than these people on the boat in a day, than the Tom Hardy in the air in an hour. It just really felt like a really convoluted way to get nowhere and to ultimately end up at the same point that he would have ended up if he kept things linear. I
think this comes back to the idea of the realistic aspect of the movie. Because I feel like if Nolan didn't do something like this, or at least acknowledge like, hey, the pilots only have like an hour of fuel and all of this is happening and yada, yada, yada. You get that, like that group of people who are like, well, technically the film is objectively bad because this didn't happen, or because this is the rewriting of history, or those people.
Yep.
I think what it does is just add to the overall realistic parts of the film. And I think that's why I like it so much. Matt, what's your case?
Just kind of, I even forgot that the events were out of order until Tyler mentioned it. That there was a problem. It just didn't really serve anything for me. It just felt like it was trying to add a little bit of complexity to a very bare bones plot. And it didn't impact me positively, and it didn't really impact me negatively either. It just felt like it was just like a weird thing that happened halfway through the movie where Cillian Murphy was suddenly on a raft and you need to go, oh, this is happening in another time. This is happening before he gets on the boat. And then that was it. That's all it did for me.
It's one of those things though, where it's just like, I feel like by doing that, he became his own kind of like servant to his vehicle spectacle aspect. If he puts things in a linear perspective, a lot of our issues I feel like would be solved because that can create time for characters to be slightly more developed instead of characters. If things are taking place in the past and we're seeing things, we know where characters are ending up. We know how Cillian Murphy kind of like survives, but he's not a character. And because it's one of those things where it hampers character development and hampers any ability to create characters because the movie's focus is on its spectacle and its nonlinear timeline. And that's very apparent because Nolan has an obsession with the aspect of time in movies. If you look at like Interstellar, when they go to the black hole and all of a sudden, oh, sorry. If something happens in the movie where time is super sped up, I'll throw that out there without spoiling anything. Nolan has this weird thing and it's unfortunately, but it also kind of works in some aspects too. And we're dogging on this movie a lot. And this movie actually it's not terrible. And I do want to clarify, this movie's fucking gorgeous.
It's impressive it's incredibly impressive from a technical standpoint. Like a lot of the shots, especially the aerial combat shots, are just incredibly well done. I have no idea how they pulled those off.
No.
And like those like tracking shots when everyone's on on the jetty, trying to get on the boat. It's like a lot of that stuff is really good as well. And bombs are going off. Like there's a lot of really great technical aspects of this movie that need to be appreciated.
How was this movie to see in theaters, by the way?
It was decent.
It was all right.
It was all right. I've seen it twice on Blu-ray on my TV.
I think Mark and I were just so hyped for it that when maybe we were just kind of disillusioned by we didn't really care about the technical aspects.
Yeah, because you're expecting like a Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, you're expecting like the next Saving Private Ryan
kind
of movie, and then you don't get that.
Yeah. One thing about just the movie itself in terms of cinematography is one of the reasons why I in general don't like Nolan as a director is because I just don't like the way his movies look, because I just like the Dark Knight movies just look so bleak, as well as like Insomnia and like I guess Interstellar sort of, but like the dark gray tones that he usually goes with like fits perfectly for this film, just the bleak aspect of it. And I think this is a case where, and I think it's because like he's colorblind to some degree.
What?
And
wait, what?
Yeah. The reason why Christopher Nolan chooses his usual color palette is because he is colorblind, and like that's what he sees.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting.
I'll have to recheck that now because you guys you're putting doubt in me. But I love the way this film looks.
It's just so there's also something, it doesn't happen often, but there was a Transformers Age of Extinction couple things where the aspect ratio changed, and every time it happened, I went, ugh, it almost threw up a little bit. I hate it.
Oh my god, yeah.
Age of Extinction is a great movie.
No, it's not. No, it's
up.
not. Shut up. Get out of here, stupid.
That's as bad a take as Black Hat is an A.
Yeah.
Hey.
That is bad.
That's a bad, Hey, Matt, hey. How dare you? No, I don't know. Like, this movie, it just, you're right. The color, it's just, there was a couple shots during the daylight when they're on the water, and I just couldn't, like, pause the Blu-ray I was watching. I was like, that looks just so, like, you could just see, like, everything looks really clear. And maybe it looks extra pretty, because I had just got done watching 2 hours and 20 minutes of The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, of a CGI clusterfuck of nothing. And nothing looks real. So all of a sudden I saw, like, real water, and was like, whoa. Like, that's so pretty. But no, like, again, there's a couple shots, spoilers. There's nothing really to spoil. They evacuated from Dunkirk.
The Allies won World War II.
Yeah, they spoilers.
God damn it.
How dare you?
I haven't got to that part of history yet.
No, when, like, Tom Hardy, his plane, like, stops propelling or whatever it's called, and he opens, like, the door. He opens the little.
When Tom Hardy's plane stops going twirly.
It stops going in, like, a circle. And he opens the little window, and he just kind of, like, sits there as his plane starts to go down, and you just get, like, that long tracking shot of, like, all of, like, Germany and stuff like that, and you're just like, God damn, that's pretty. How did they do that?
Isn't it in France?
Yeah, it's not
in France.
Germany.
Oops, they're against German bad guys. Sorry, they're in France, and it just looks really. There are a couple shots that are definitely like, God damn, Nolan, what did you do? Like, how did you get this? Like, what did you do? I don't know. From what I've heard,
the Dark Knight trilogy. That's how he.
Yeah. He just took all that money from that and was like, all right. No, I don't know. There's like a few things. I think I remember reading when this movie came out that the script was 65 pages long. Which is
short.
It's obscenely short for any movie like that. Which again, and I don't know, like the characters in this movie, I felt like the Mark Rylance, Barry Keoghan, and then that other blonde kid who doesn't look like Mark Rylance at all. even though they're supposed to be father and son.
I mean, he looks like Mark Rylance' great grandson.
Yeah, I know. I was like, okay. He's like, he's my dad. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
sure. I don't think they add anything to this movie. Like, I get they're trying to show a different aspect. Like, look at the civilian help. I don't think they added anything to it. I was
I
more.
think. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just more invested in like the soldier characters.
I think that the movie could have been more interesting if it just followed their storyline. Like if it had like this like isolated, like you're out in the middle of the sea and you're stuck in this boat with this crazy soldier who you don't know how crazy he is yet.
Yep.
Until like later on in the movie. I feel like if it was a whole movie just based on that, it would have been really interesting.
Yeah.
And it was done by a different director and writer. Like if it was done by like the guy who did 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is an excellent movie that basically all takes place in one room. Like imagine that guy making this movie.
Yeah.
Where it's just these people on a boat. They save the British soldier and they think, oh, he's a soldier, he's a good guy. But then as things go on, you realize later that he's crazy and that maybe he is a deserter and stuff like that. That could be really interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's two very interesting. There's two very interesting stuff.
That stuff was my favorite parts of the movie, actually. Like I didn't really hear about the soldiers very much, but the problem is like the dialogue between Cillian Murphy and Mark Rylance is terrible. Like it's awful. Like they're basically like I can't remember the lines exactly, but like there's a scene where Mark Rylance is like, but we as citizens owe our soldiers the dignity of going to go rescue them because it is the British way. And then Cillian Murphy goes, but there are bad guys and we will surely die if we go back. Like it's just it's so on the nose and it feels like you're like it feels like just two allegories are just fighting each other. Like they're not people.
Exactly. That's my issue with Nolan. Nolan can't write people. He doesn't. I don't think he's ever interacted with another person in my life. Honestly, the more movies I watch of him, I'm convinced he's just never talked to anyone. He doesn't know how to write like people in scenarios like this. Like there's like the most realistic we get is Harry Styles at the end when people are celebrating and he's just kind of like reveling in like the free food and the beer he's being given. That feels like the most human aspect of like the entire movie. Honestly, the standout of this entire thing, I was genuinely surprised at how good Harry Styles was. And I'm not saying that because he's a genuinely really talented musician, but he had to actually go through auditions. And Christopher Nolan clearly doesn't know who Harry Styles is. Do you really think he's sitting around?
He's the biggest One Direction fan around.
Yeah, he comes in and there's
not a doubt in my mind.
Harry Styles comes into the audition and One Direction music's playing. He's like, oh, whoa, no.
Yeah.
Apparently he had auditioned for months to get this role, and he impressed Nolan. And now he's going to be cast in another movie directed by like Olivia Wilde, going like toe-to-toe with her, and like two other people. I can look it up when you guys are talking. But he's legitimately really phenomenal. And on a rewatch, I was like actively looking forward to seeing him again in this movie. So I don't know, like the performances we get, like Tom Hardy is just there.
I think he's great for considering he has no real option to show any character. Like his face just expresses so much. Maybe it's just because I'm just a huge Tom Hardy fan.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought that he did even going back to the Bane days where he had to wear a mask and he's able to convey a lot of emotion despite the fact that like half his face is covered. He has the pilot mask on. I feel like he does a pretty good job like giving his character some. He's just like good guy pilot man, but I think he does a good job like adding some humanity to the role.
Real quick, Harry Styles is going to be in a movie called Don't Worry, Darling, starring Florence Pugh, Olivia Wilde, and Chris Pine. And he's the second billed actor in this movie.
Wow.
So yeah.
Who's directing that?
Olivia Wilde.
Okay.
Who made Booksmart, which Booksmart's actually a pretty solid movie. So I'm actually looking forward to that. But yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know. I kind of agree with you, Matt. It's just like it was one of those things. Like he took the mask off, and I'm like, that's Tom Hardy. That's not a character for me. Like none of this. It's like, oh, it's Cillian Murphy. Oh, it's Kenneth Branagh. Like, okay, cool. And then it's just, and the movie's over, and it's like, oh, that's the kid from Killing a Sacred Deer.
Yeah.
It's Mark Rylance.
He's not the kid from Killing a Sacred Deer. He's the spaghetti and meatballs at breakfast kid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. How dare
I? He is Tyler. I know you're a Yorgos hater, but doesn't mean you got to smirk his name.
I'm not a Yorgos hater. I like.
There you are. If you do not like The Lobster, then you're by default a Yorgos hater.
You have to unabashedly love everything by Yorgos in order to not be a Yorgos hater. That's just an objective fact.
That's an objective fact. Okay.
I think the fact that you like Black Hat makes it impossible for you to ever be a true Yorgos fan.
I don't care. I'm dying on this hill. I'm dying on the Black Hat hill. This Black Hat shit is gonna be the new Mark Sleepy Time moment because I'm gonna hear about it until the end of time.
Okay, we're gonna have Black Hat moments, which is moments you absolutely abhorred.
That's the new one. That's the new one.
That's the new one.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make it.
Yeah.
Now, Mark Sleepy Time has now become Black Hat moments.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Do you guys have any final thoughts on Dunkirk? It's surprisingly not a very
it feels
anything.
weird. Like I didn't realize how little there was talk about this movie.
Yeah.
Until like we had to start talking about it. It's like we don't I don't know enough about the technical aspects of filmmaking in order to like celebrate them. Like especially Tyler and I were more like we're English majors. We're just like we're character and rhetoric and there really isn't anything.
So we're just like
that.
Fuck.
But it is
the drowning sequences
it's just a World War II movie where you follow characters you don't care about and they get into like 20 situations where they almost die but don't die.
I think Nolan has never also held his head underwater. People don't breathe underwater for that long, I don't think. There are a few times I don't know how long, like when that first destroyer gets torpedoed and they're just kind of floating underwater for a second.
They would have all died.
I feel like they would have all immediately drowned.
When you're ever watching a movie where people have to hold their breath, do you hold your breath with them to see if you can
I've tried it. I tried it for the pilot when he went down. I would have died with him. I would have hit the water and immediately
I would have died before the water got to his mouth.
Yeah, he would have done the final breath to get ready, and then the water just go right into his.
Do you know when he's taking the? Do you know when he's?
Yeah, he was taking his final breath 30 seconds too late.
When the pilot's smashing the flare gun, I would have accidentally shot myself. I would have checked the ground and exploded everything.
But I tried it with Mission Impossible 5.
Yeah.
Where a hot agent lady has to hold her breath for a long time when she's going underneath the thing.
Rebecca Ferguson?
Yeah, Rebecca Ferguson. I tried doing that's impossible.
Well, the thing is, you can actually train yourself to breathe underwater. The world
I know
record,
Tom Cruise actually did train.
No, I was talking about
David Blaine did 17 minutes.
Yeah, it's you can actually do this. It just takes so much training.
There's an interview. Who's that Irish guy?
Conan O'Brien.
Conan O'Brien's American. What? No, Norton. Norton. What's his name?
Edward Norton.
No, it's Graham Norton. Norton. He was on the Graham Norton show.
Oh, right.
Saying that this is after Fallout, Mission Impossible Fallout, or whatever. Rogue Nation, and he was saying that he was because he did that breathing thing, where you have to train to hold your breath for that underwater scene. And he's saying that he was talking to people after, and he said he was talking for minutes straight, and he realized he wasn't breathing as he was talking.
That's awesome.
That's how trained he was.
Yeah,
at holding his breath.
Wow.
Tom Cruise is the biggest badass in movie history. I'm just throwing that out there. Sorry.
Just pertaining to Tarantino, or not Tarantino, but it's about Tarantino, about Dunkirk. So
more interesting things.
Yeah.
I'm
kidding.
No. I want to talk about this. So Tarantino said that Dunkirk is his second favorite movie of the 2010s, and then I have a quote from him.
Yeah. Well, just throwing it out there, Tarantino, real quick. Unstoppable, that train movie with Chris Pine and Denzel Washington, is also one of his favorite movies of the decade. Just throwing that out there. Not trying
he loves Chris Pine. He loves Chris Pine.
Don't we all?
I'm not even joking.
Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah. He says that Chris Pine is the best working actor today, or something along those lines. But Tarantino says that I had an interesting experience with it the first couple times, it being Dunkirk. Tarantino said of the film, "The first time I saw it, I don't know what I was thinking the first time. I just dealt with the spectacle of it all. I couldn't deal with anything else but the spectacle of it all. I liked the movie, but the spectacle almost numbed me to the experience. I don't think I felt anything emotional. I was awed by it, but I didn't know what I was awed by. It wasn't until the third time that I could see past the spectacle and into the people the story is about. I finally could see through the trees a little bit." So
this is like a Black Hat scenario where I'm over here yelling at a brick wall. That's
Tarantino's a trained filmmaker.
No, but Black Hat's better than anything Tarantino has done. I'm not actually saying that in honesty, but throwing that out there because I feel like I'd get a lot of haters on that one, and no one would ever vote me for their favorite film fraud if I said that.
Tyler's he thinks he's the rogue of film frauds, but no one really cares. He just buries his opinions even more.
I don't care. I'm dying on the hill. Black Hat.
He's I'm like the radical bad boy of film frauds.
I'm the bad guy. Look at
Everyone
me.
just fast forwards through when Tyler talks.
And they go,
You're like,
and then they cut.
you're like the Carmine of when Preston Jacobs and him do their Game of Thrones podcast, where everyone just fast forwards to see what Preston has to say.
Oh my god, bastard. Well, okay, so getting back on the Dunkirk train, because we've had a lot of evidence that it's both ways. I was looking at some reviews last night, and people fucking love this movie. People who love this movie will die for this movie. And it won a ton of technical Oscars that year when it came out in 2017, and it deserves so. This movie, again, technically speaking, this movie is like incredible. It's honestly like it's jaw-dropping some of the stuff that they were able to put a technical perspective. But Matt, it seems like for you and me, our issues lie in the fact that this movie has no characters. And this movie has nothing to gravitate to. So when the spectacle becomes repetitive and the same thing over and over again, I feel like at a certain point it loses you. But that does not discredit how great this movie is on a technical aspect. And for that, there is value in it.
Yeah.
It's not Nolan's best. It's not as high as I thought it was. I don't even know where I'd put it in Nolan's thing anymore. I just don't. The more movies I watch, the more I don't like Nolan.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like baby's first like art tour director.
Yeah. It's not, again, that's not discrediting people who like Nolan, but you're wrong. It is. Yes. We're calling you out. Mark, can you make one more case for this movie so we can go before we go to our black hat
Yeah,
points?
Mark, you're the Dunkirk shill.
Wow, I can't believe the burden of proving it is on me.
This is your movie.
I think regardless of how you feel about this movie, it is worth watching it at least one more time or something like that. Because I think, again, we talked about the flip-flopping of opinions, and I've never really seen that as much with this movie or as any movie before, just like this one. I butchered that. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
I think this is a film that deserves many rewatches to get past the spectacle, like Tarantino said, and maybe get a greater sense of appreciation of what's going on with the characters and the relationships in the film. Again, this is not a film that I am totally infatuated with, but it is nowhere near as boring or repetitive as I thought it was when I first saw it a few years ago. So to get a more well-rounded opinion, I think it'd be worth watching it again.
Yeah. This is something, again, I watched this and I'm not like, I'm never going to watch it again. I'm going to check this out probably in a few years and see how my opinions hold up, but I'm good for a while.
It'd be a movie where it's like Sunday afternoon. I'm like browsing the TV and it's like on TNT or NBC or whatever. I'm like, oh, let's watch Dunkirk or whatever for a bit. It's not like I'm dogging the movie because we usually just focus more on like scripts than anything else when we talk. But like it's, if you want like a really authentic war movie where everything sounds really accurate and like visually it looks really great and there's a lot of really impressive shots, this is your movie. But where we just like a lot of it just kind of rings a little hollow or like not or shallow because there's not much to care about. Like you have like the D-Day scene in Saving Private Ryan where it's equally as technically impressive as Dunkirk, but you have like the realistic characters and stuff to back it up, which makes the movie more complex and more easy to talk about.
There's more. So a few things. There's more like character in like realism, and when that one soldier is shot in Saving Private Ryan, where he's like, "Where's my mom?" Yeah. He's like, "I want my mom." Yeah, and you're just like, "Oh." What do you guys think of the score in this movie, real quick? Because when we saw this, we actually saw a brief preview of this. I don't know if you guys remember this when we saw Kong Skull Island.
Oh.
And Matt and I blocked our ears because the score, it was just so loud and overbearing. And the fact that
I watched this in IMAX, like,
I know.
That would have been terrible.
The fact that I could turn down the volume at my TV helped a lot. I found the score to be good. It's a lot of that like ticking. It's the tick tick tick, that ticking sound.
Yeah.
That adds like the constant like. I don't want to compare it to like Punch Drunk Love because I think Punch Drunk Love's a better movie, but Punch Drunk Love has that like unnerving kind of sound in the background that constantly is like it's a little
it has
off-putting.
An energy to it.
Yeah, and this one attempts to, I think, do something like that. It's not as successful as Punch Drunk Love, but it's still effective in certain areas of the movie. If that makes sense. What do you guys think?
Yeah. To me, it's like I like the ticking aspect, but like there's a lot of just generic like dun, 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 like it's just kind of a lot of just generic like oh this is supposed to be intense
Yeah.
music that didn't really stick out to me very much personally.
Mark.
I agree with you, Matt, completely.
Yeah. So we all across the board, man. Our Dunkirks. It was really like I was like I can't wait to talk about this after I watched it last night, and now I'm sitting here. I'm like,
Yeah.
not a lot to it.
Do you have any Hallmark scenes? We can go into that.
Yeah, Hallmark scenes.
Yeah.
Favorite scenes from the movie. Mark, why don't you go first since this is your baby or whatever?
I can't believe this is actually happening. I was like,
this is Mark's favorite movie of the decade.
God damn it. I actually what I liked was the first like dive bombing scene from the Germans. I think what this film does, this film totally like puts like that sitting duck fear into you, just the fear of the sky. I just love those shots where like all the soldiers are just sort of standing there, and then you hear like and then they all like they start turning their heads.
Yeah.
But that first scene, there's that shot you see, and you can I think in like the bottom right hand corner or left hand corner, you can see the head of Tommy, and you can see it's the small speck in the sky of the German plane coming down, and I was like, oh man, that is magnificent. It just invoked this like primal fear in you as the viewer, and I love that scene. That was probably the first Hallmark scene. I'd probably say the second one was the scene in the sinking boat where they're like, he's a fucking German spy. That was a great scene. Probably the Tom Hardy scene where his plane crashes and it's like very cinematic.
Yep.
It's like the not melodramatic, melancholy music that's playing. It's like Tom Hardy saved a day, but he's captured. His character has no name. He's just Tom Hardy. He's immortal.
He's Tom Hardy's great grandfather who looks just like Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Those Tom Hardy jeans, those hot Tom Hardy jeans, are very strong.
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna agree with the sinking boat one where they're all fighting because that was the first time there's actually like real tensioning characters for me.
Yeah.
It was like, oh man, look at these. These are personalities. Like, whoa, Nolan, damn, you're spoiling us here. I was a big fan of that. I like.
Who knows about that scene?
What?
That was all improv.
That was all improv, yeah.
Yeah.
I like how the bullets start going through and they're like, it's target practice, and then they make noise and they start fighting, and then they actually start getting shot and they start sinking. And that was a nice natural buildup of tension because they go in there to wait for the tide and they start getting shot and the tide comes back. It's like an actual nice buildup of a scene that works from start to finish. And then it gets muddled because all of a sudden they appear in oil and then Nolan's like, I'm actually going to show you how that starts instead of naturally progressing us to that. To build up even more tension, to feel like these characters are in a hopeless situation. Nolan has said cuts to show all our main characters who are still alive. I was a little annoyed when that scene. That kind of peeved me off. Matt, what are some of your favorites?
Pretty much what you guys said. I really like the scene where Tom Hardy and the other pilot are being attacked by the German ship, the German plane, and Tom Hardy has to they have to use tactics in order to shoot him down.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the movie Locke. I don't know if you guys have seen Locke.
I've heard it. I know what it is. But
the movie where it's basically Tom Hardy's in a car and he's driving home from work and everything is going into chaos and it's just the whole movie is just him in the car talking to people on the phone and trying to salvage what remains of his life as he's driving home.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. It's by the guy who does Penny, who does the Peaky Blinder show. Mm-hmm. He's done a lot of really good movies as well. I can't think of at this moment. But it'd be cool. The whole movie was just the same style. It's just Tom Hardy in the cockpit of the plane, and he's just trying to and they're using cool naval, Air Force slang and stuff. I don't know. I really like that stuff.
Yeah,
it doesn't really explain to you what everything means, but you can figure it out based on what the actions they follow after. They say the code names or whatever. I like that stuff a lot. Yeah,
this stuff was really cool. All right. Black Hat scenes.
Black Hat.
We've retired Mark's sleepy time.
Wait. Okay, wait. We didn't establish it. So how about Black Hat scenes are scenes for things that you hated, you abhorred?
I do have one.
Sleepy time moments are more. I'm just saying, just in general, sleepy time moments are just scenes where it's this was kind of a lame scene or a boring scene. Yep. Black Hat scenes are that was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
I have one for both then.
Okay.
I have for Mark's sleepy time moments. I have the scene where it's basically like anytime like there's no like major blood and characters are just getting like thrown about. I was legitimately like bothered by that because if your movie is focused on realism, I was like blah. The Black Cat scene was this weird quick thing at the end where everyone has been evacuated and it cuts to this one lone soldier who wakes up, and for
Oh, that
that
was so
second you're like, what's the point of this? Like, oh my god, we left him behind. To then immediately cut, and the girl like, private, come with us. Like, what was the point of that? What
Hey, yeah,
besides
Kenneth
like
Cinematic.
Branagh's character
It
was
was
acting
for
so weird, too.
cinematic purposes.
but what, it's not, because what is it, like emotional manipulation? You're like, oh no, everyone didn't get out for like that quick moment of dread. It doesn't make any. It's just that one
How do you
legitimately.
fall asleep when everyone was probably marching around him?
Yeah. First off, is everyone an asshole? Wake him up. What are you guys doing? We're all in this together, right? Wake him up. Why did they wait for him to wake up? Even like the generals, like Kenneth Branagh, like he wake up and he looks and they're like, we're over here. Why not just wake him up? Be like, hey man, you're the only one here. It's just that one actually like legitimately pissed me off. That left like a really sour. That's my Black Hat moment.
Yeah, I don't think I have any blackout moments, but I'd say for sleepy time moments, just like a lot of the drowning scenes towards the end, just in general, like with the soldiers, I just didn't care.
Yeah, he just didn't care at all.
Yeah.
Mark, what about for you?
There's no specific sleepy time moment, but I felt like the civilian boat scenes were sort of, they're all right.
We're fine.
Yeah, they're fine. I just wasn't like as engaged as I was with what's going on in the mole.
I wasn't a big fan when they see all the civilian boats come and it's this very proud moment, but they haven't done anything to establish like British civilian unity at all. And I was like, okay. I'm like, that's great. We're sound like we're dogging on this movie a lot. I do like it. I do want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Because of that, we're gonna get to grades before Matt gets really mad. Grade stuff on an A, B, C, D, F scale, no plus or minuses because I feel like it and it doesn't matter anymore. Who cares? Mark, this is your love child of a movie.
Yeah, give it an A. We already know.
Give it an A. Yeah, we're
No, I'm giving it a resounding B.
Resounding B. Ooh.
Yes. It wasn't enough for an A.
I'm gonna give it a resounding C.
Resounding
middle
C.
of the road.
I'm also gonna give it a C. If we would have reviewed this after the first time I've seen it, I would have given it the highest possible B. But now I'm kind of just like, it's a solid C. I'll probably rewatch it, and I might like it a little bit more, kind of like knowing, again, what to go into it and stuff like that. And maybe, who knows, Harry Styles will see even better the third time around. So, so a B from Mark, a C from me, and a C from Matt. That's our Dunkirk review, and thank God we're fucking done with Christopher Nolan. That's technically part one. We can come back to him.
Probably not.
Probably not. He might be the one person who only gets to part one of this. Maybe like 5 or 6 years. Oh God. Probably not. We'll all be dead by then. So, Film Brads won't be around in 5 to 6 years. Or maybe it will be. Who knows? That's Dunkirk. That was Nolan part one. Now we're going to get to our what we've been watching section. Matt, real quick, we should probably skim some of our thoughts.
To talk about because I've only watched Lord of the Rings and Hobbit movies.
Well, we can hold off on the Hobbit movies slightly. We can give a brief thing, but let's save our in-depth stuff for spoilers. Matt and I are going to do a Hobbit trilogy video.
With talking about you're watching Lord of the Rings too, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch them. Yeah. I'm gonna watch the first one, Fellowship, tonight and stuff like that. Mark, what have you watched in the last week?
So I watched 2 movies. The first one being The Elephant Man, which just came to the Criterion Channel. This is the 5th David Lynch film that I've seen, and it's sort of cemented in my brain that David Lynch is just like one of my favorite directors working, or just like in general ever.
Okay.
There are problems that you could find with this film. In Roger Ebert's review, he did not like this film. And there were some things that he dogged on, specifically David Lynch just being himself in his weird scenes. But there's also some, like, if you think about the plot too much, you start noticing problems. The story, The Elephant Man, is about a man named Joseph Merrick, who lived in the early 20th century, and he was born with a severe deformity where he had this super enlarged skull and had severe, body issues resulting from this rare disease.
He's like, there's like just benign tumors just go like crazy.
He covered in tumors, and he had like an arm that didn't work, and and then in the story in the movie, there's a doctor played by Anthony Hopkins who's phenomenal in the film.
Anthony Hopkins in this movie? Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, he's great. He's got this big beard, and well, not like a big beard, but he's got his hair really like dark. It's not gray yet, so it's like, look how young he is.
Watch out, Merrick! That's Hannibal Lecter.
I hate you.
That's what Mark screamed when he saw Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, yeah. But David Lynch is just the master of atmosphere. I mean, this film is in black and white, and it takes place, late 1800s, early 1900s.
Movies exist in color. I just want to let you know. Just letting you know.
No, they don't. No, they don't. This movie emotionally wrecked me. I was thinking about it for days. I watched it like on Tuesday. Today we're recording on a Saturday. I've been thinking about it every day since, and it nearly made me cry. And I recommend this film to anybody who's a David Lynch fan. So, Tyler, I recommend it to you. Matt, you watch it or don't. I don't give a shit.
I'll check it out eventually because I have the Criterion channel, so I can get that.
Yeah. So, John Hurt plays the Elephant Man. He's fantastic.
Oh, I like John Hurt.
John Hurt's great.
Yeah. So,
what's he in, Tyler?
Isn't he in Daddy's Home? Is that John Voight? I'm confusing John Voight and John Hurt. Never mind. I don't know what John Hurt's in.
I know he was in the
He's an alien.
The Harry Potter movies, and he's an alien.
He plays the dragon in the TV show Merlin, which is great.
What's John Hurt been in? Wait, John Voight's the guy that Will Ferrell kisses on the lips in.
Yeah, he's also the Trinity killer in Dexter.
I haven't got to that point. So, in Dexter. Okay, so yeah. He's in
Yes, I was the
Snowpiercer.
biggest fan of John Hurt.
I'm the biggest fan of John Hurt, except I don't know what John Hurt's been in. Sorry, Mark. Keep going. Sorry, we cut you off with our stupid banter. John Hurt's in Hellboy.
Wow.
Was he like Hellboy's dad or something?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Keep going, Mark. He's in Immortals.
Sorry, Mark.
Are you done?
He's in this.
And then the film that I watched it last night, was Paris, Texas. I've heard so much about this film. It's like another one of those like darlings of the Criterion Collection. It lives up to the hype. I recommend both of you see it, and specifically Tyler, because Tyler, I think I have a good gauge of what movies that you like.
Clearly not, because I fucking love Black Hat.
Well, I know which films that you are suckers for.
Okay.
And I think you got to watch this.
Okay.
I'm not going to give anything away from the plot. I went in completely blind. It's 2 hours and 25 minutes, and it goes by very quickly. At least it did for me. It's on the Criterion channel, and I think this is it's a film that I recognize that is just absolutely like amazing. Just having watched it at my age, but I think if I watch it when I'm like maybe 35 or 40, when I have a little more life experience, it's probably going to hit me like a train. It's very hard to put into words. This is like one of those films that just you just think about from time to time, or it expresses a thought or view that you've had for a while in a way that you find hard to articulate. I'm butchering it right now. I'm just when I see a good movie, I just get tongue tied.
Okay. Is it something you would recommend for us to watch and do like an episode on? Do you think it works in that avenue or no? Whoever movie can work in that avenue, but
this is not a movie I'd want to pick apart. I think it's something that you should just watch. Just watch it first. I think if we ever did a review, it'd be like all of us on our second watch.
Okay.
Because I don't want you to go in with that analytical mindset. Like, I have to pay attention because I need to review this.
Okay.
Just go in and give yourself over to it.
Yeah.
And don't think, and let it take you. And it's going to take you for a journey.
Interesting. Okay. I'll have to check it out, because if it's on the Criterion channel, I can watch that. I can do that. It's also on HBO Max, Matt. Matt doesn't care.
Matt, I don't know what it's about. I'll watch it, sure.
Yeah.
Mark said I'm gonna hate it, so I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah. You're gonna hate it.
Yeah, you're gonna despise it. Yeah. Mark, is that all you watched this week?
I watched a documentary on Netflix. It's called David Attenborough: A Life on the Planet. David Attenborough's the guy who narrates all the Blue Planet.
Yeah,
Those
he's apparently great.
Yeah, it's a depressing documentary. We are doing bad things to the planet, and time is running out. So watch it or don't. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Mark, that's his glowing recommendation. Watch it or don't. ... Yeah.
Yeah.
Put it on the Blu-ray.
That's gonna be the blurb on the cover.
Watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. David Attenborough's that guy who does the ... Blue Planet.
You know his voice, but not his face, I guess.
All right. Awesome, Matt. What did you've seen 2 Lord of the Rings movies. You can briefly talk about those.
I'll talk very briefly about them because I want people to tune in for the episode.
Yeah.
The Unexpected Journey is better than I thought. It was
Hobbit.
Initially of the Hobbit. Yeah. Desolation Smog is not as good as I thought it was initially, and Battle of Fire Armies is a piece of crap. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring is great. Love it. Twin Towers. Maybe the 2 Towers is great.
Oh no!
The Twin Towers were great.
Yeah.
2 Towers.
Oh no!
2 Towers is a great movie.
I might have to cut that.
What?
I might have to cut that one.
What do you mean?
That's just a bad joke. All right, keep going. Sorry.
2 Towers is great as well. And I'm gonna watch Return of the King at some point this weekend, and it will probably also be great.
Nice. I'll give my quick because I watched. How many movies did I watch? As though we were just like Twin Towers, but
That joke's inevitable.
I watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 movies. I'll give my quick Hobbit stuff. Unexpected Journey isn't as good as I remember. Desolation Smog isn't as good as I remember. Battle of Five Armies is even worse than I remember. Yeah. I don't think I'm a big fan of that trilogy.
I hate Lord of the Rings movies already, so
no, I don't.
Know.
I can't wait for our review where you say that about 45 times it gets old.
So
I watched Sidney Lumet's The Verdict. We talked about this, but not on this podcast. It's interesting. It's Paul Newman's pretty great in this movie, but it's one of those things where it kind of takes like a Rocky formula, where the movie Rocky is. It's the over encompassing kind of like driving plot is the boxing match, but the movie itself is about like a character redemption. And The Verdict does the same thing, where the overarching thing is this courtroom drama or courtroom case that Paul Newman's character has to solve, but it's really about his kind of redemption as a person. It's Sidney Lumet's one of the more kind of like natural directors I've seen, and by that I mean his camera style never feels over encompassing and overshadowing what's in front of the screen. He has really fluid and natural movements, and the camera feels always like it's like this omniscient just eye rather than like a fixed thing that you notice. And for that, it's really great. But in terms of like everything else, Newman's excellent, but this movie doesn't really have anything to it. Like you're waiting for like that moment. So it's like, this is the selling point. Like, this is the movie. Like, this is what I'm here for. And it never really comes. I found it to be a little dull. And I might appreciate it more as I get older, kind of like what Mark said with Paris, Texas, where the movie's just very like an adult and it's very mature. And I might like it when I'm a little bit older, but right now I found it a little bit dull. I watched A Clockwork Orange. We talked about this a lot. Personally, it's not my favorite Kubrick. It's probably... I hate you, Matt. It's probably my second least favorite Kubrick to only The Killing, but that's not saying anything. There's still this base level of really greatness to it. I broke it down to like 3 sections. The first 40 minutes is incredible. The middle 50 minutes is kind of like a little dull and uninteresting. And I found the final 40 minutes to be like moderately compelling. Like score, directing, set design, and performances are all great, but there's like horrible pacing to the movie. And that middle, like there's a point where an hour and a half went by and I was honestly like, fuck, should I finish this tomorrow? Like I was just like really like not feeling it. Maybe I'll like it more on a rewatch, but I'm kind of like a little lukewarm on it. Then I watched a movie that you guys would both fucking love. And it's Les Samurai, or whatever it is, Les Samurai. It's a French movie on the Criterion Channel by Jean-Pierre Melville.
I like so many French movies.
What?
I like so many French movies.
I feel like it. I'm not watching many French movies. What are you talking about?
Isn't Sidney Lumet French or?
No. He's as American as it gets.
Yeah, he's super American. All of his
Never
movies
mind.
are in English. This movie is kind of like very exceptional, and it's like an influence that can be felt throughout just kind of like a lot of things. Like it's basically like a samurai mentality, the loner kind of aspect, solving things on your own. It's just really, really interesting. And the way this movie is kind of like framed, and the way this movie is kind of like this looks, and the set design, and the cinematography, all just feel like super compelling and just like visually very pleasing to look at. But then the performances all around are really great. It's something that feels very modern, despite being from the 60s. And I don't know. I know you guys would just eat this movie up. Matt, you would love it. Mark, this would be like your favorite movie of all time if you watched it, I feel like. Yeah. It's you would fucking love this movie. Matt, you would also really love this movie, but knowing Mark's taste.
What's it on?
It's on the Criterion channel, sorry. It actually might be, I don't know, it's on HBO Max. I can take a quick look. But yeah. Those are the movies I watched this week because we're gonna do The Hobbit. I've been watching the Hobbit movies, and those are so fucking long.
I don't know how you had time to watch those other movies when you're watching the Hobbit movies as well. That's all I had time to do.
Last night I watched 4 hours. I watched The Battle of Five Armies and Dunkirk.
Oh my god.
It was a fucking long night.
Props to like Fellowship because it was 3 hours long. I was like, I'll watch this in 2 halves.
Yeah.
But then I ended up watching the whole thing in one night. So
yeah.
Props to that.
Wait, how long is The Fellowship?
What?
How long is The Fellowship of the Ring?
Fellowship is 3, Two Towers is 3, and Return of the King is 3.5.
Oh no! Oh no!
Well, I'm watching HBO Max, which has the I think it definitely has the director's cut.
Yeah. Matt,
What is going on out there?
Matt's having like outside his house is like a fucking car race.
It's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something out there.
What the hell's happening? Oh my god, Matt. What was happening to you out there?
It was my mom has the leaf blower right next to the door. And she has the door open too, so it's like I have to shut it now. And so yeah, 3.5, but they don't really feel their length.
Okay.
Someone who abhors movies that are over an hour and 45 minutes long. I don't know. These movies just fly by for me. I love them so much.
It's been a few years since I've seen them, so I'm curious to see. Because man, these Hobbit movies,
they go by way faster. I'm kind of like I like fantasy, sword and sorcery, medieval movies just in general. So I'm a little more biased, but I don't know. I think that they'll fly by for you as well. Do you have them on DVD or do you have them?
I'm going to stream them, stuff like that. I went to Best Buy because they were on, like, the 3 of them were on sale for like $11 altogether. Yeah. I was like, dope, I'll buy it, but they didn't have any, and I was like, whatever, I'll just.
It's crazy to see Peter Jackson direct with like passion again.
That's okay. So that's the thing is like
we should.
Can I just give like a little because people won't get this far in this video because I don't imagine.
This is a preview.
This is a little preview. This fucking Battle of the Five Armies movie is one of the worst movies I've seen in a long time. There's never been a movie that has felt so soulless and calculated to try to create the most like profit from anything. It's fucking 2 hours of just CGI nonsense.
Yeah.
And it's so there is more personality in one fucking practical orc in the Lord of the Rings than there is in any fucking villain in this Hobbit trilogy. It's so baffling that the Battle of the Five Armies was made and storyboarded and went, yeah, okay, so we're looking at the runtime, and the movie's 2 hours and 24 minutes, and we're going to make 2 hours and 8 minutes of that just a fight. And then Peter Jackson looked at a blue screen and went, it's just all on here? Like, okay, sure. And it's so fucking stupid, and it's so moronic. The fact that these fucking elves, the sheer fact that these fucking Hobbit and dwarf and people aren't immediately massacred.
This movie more than any movie doesn't feel like it's made by a director.
No, it's just
like any other movie.
Like that, and like Ready Player One, are just like
that and Ready Player One doesn't feel like it's made by a filmmaker either. It just feels like it's like stock epic shots for. Wait, we got to save all this stuff for.
I just went through one thing. There is no way the coalition of the humans, the elves, and the dwarves should have been immediately massacred by the sheer number of fucking orcs that are in this movie.
I have a lot to say about Battle of the Five Armies.
So do I. We're gonna save it.
Yeah,
I could not. I honestly. There's a point where I like paused the movie and I contemplated not finishing it. I was like, I
didn't get
can't
to that
do this.
point.
I was like, fuck. I sent you a Snapchat. I was like, this is the worst movie I've seen in a long time. I cannot. It ended, and I could not have gotten up faster to turn it off. I was so excited. I was like, yes. What a bullshit movie that is. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll save it. I'll save the more in-depth stuff.
I think we hook people now. I think we got the hook in.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll watch it. And Mark's going to do his Blu-ray
Criterion
video as well this week,
film,
hopefully.
Oh, Matt, speaking of that, Culture Call to Action. What's going on? What are we doing next week? What's coming up for Film Frauds?
Like, comment, subscribe, comment for Film Frauds as long as it's me. We're on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, which you're probably watching on YouTube. Anyways, tell us if you want a Patreon, if you want an OnlyFans, because we'll do it.
I'll do it, yeah.
We have 6 feet between us. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So next week, we're gonna do a myriad of videos. Essentially, Mark's is gonna sit down and do his Blu-ray collection, Criterion collection video. Tyler and I are gonna talk about The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
Specifically the Hobbit movies.
Mostly the Hobbit, but I feel like I'm gonna talk about the Lord of the Rings a lot too because I love those movies.
We'll be like
it's gonna be a pretty long video, I think.
Yeah. We're just gonna sit here
maybe
for
we'll
like
split
3
it up
hours.
into 2 parts or something. I don't know. We'll see. And then for back to the good picks again. We're gonna do my regular choice movie. We're gonna do Cold War 2018's Cold War, which if you have Amazon Prime, it's part of that, so you can watch it for free if you have the subscription. So be on the lookout for that. It's a very good movie.
This is gonna be the shortest movie we've done on Film Frauds. It's the second shortest was The Marine. This one's 88 minutes long.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah.
This is already Nay.
That's like, yes.
Film Frauds Hall of Fame. And then after that, we're doing Mank, I think.
Yep.
And then after that, we're back to my director's choice. Back Park Chin Wook for the last time for this go around.
No, we aren't. After Mank is the Western video.
Oh, yeah, that's December 12th, Westerns. And then...
Eventually, there will be a PTA ranked.
Well, we'll be on break then, so we'll probably be able to do more videos than just on the weekends. So you never know.
You never know. But you guys we have to do our PTA ranked.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you guys. I'm waiting for it. We're never gonna get that PTA ranked out, are we? That's never gonna happen. Even though it's a grand idea.
You can do it by yourself.
I'll be arguing. I'll just put 3 versions of me. I'll log into 3 separate devices on a Zoom call.
3 different camera angles.
Yeah.
My number 1 PTA movie is Black Hat.
Black Hat. Hey! And then I laugh to myself because no one's there.
Yeah, you have a laugh.
Like, you're so funny. Okay. Well, that was our episode. Dunkirk and all the stuff we've been watching. Matt and I got a little heated about The Hobbit already, so just expect what a 3-hour review is going to be like.
That video because it'll be fun.
And we're going to title it something unique. Not like the Hobbit trilogy. We're like the Great Prometheus debate, which is still
Battle of the Crap Armies.
No, that's
a battle of the corporate slot.
Matt, I just can I do one more quick comparison? Compare the final fight from Aquaman to Hobbit, and how Aquaman has so much personality and like clear what's happening.
Also, the visuals aren't like blindingly bright.
Yeah, it's like there's color. Okay, that's it. Mark has completely lost interest. We're losing Mark. He's got to go read a book. I don't know.
I'm getting a haircut.
You're getting a haircut? I hope they cut you bald.
Face cut.
Yeah, stupid. All right, I get the final word, guys. Thank you for watching.